Yay, we don't have to sync cameras this time and all the stuffs and the things. It's actually nice to not have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Welcome to the RCLCP podcast, RC Lawn Chair Pilots podcast. Sorry it's been so long, guys.
Hi, guys. I know it's been forever.
It has been forever. For those of you that have forgotten, my name's Derek.
And I'm Steven.
And this is the RCLCP, RC Lawn Chair Pilots podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, there goes the intro.
See?
All right, so our goal here, we told you guys that our goal was to make recording easier on ourselves and a little looser of the schedule so that we could actually have time for life and things. And
do stuff.
Yeah, we let that get away from ourselves a bit.
Yeah, we did.
So we do apologize.
Life gets in the way of living, so
it's true.
It is a thing that happens, but that's okay.
So for those of you that have been listening to the show for this entire break and who've been waiting for us to get back, thank you. We appreciate it. And we're back.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Greatly.
So what do you say, Steven? Should we just start out with updating them on what sort of things what we've been up to lately?
Sure. That sounds awesome.
You got anything?
I don't even remember the last thing I said, last thing I did here. So I've probably done the least, but since we last recorded, I do have a second 3D printer now.
Oop,
So that's new.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
he went and bought himself a second Ender 3.
Yeah. And so also, I think the last time we recorded, I had broke my, the A-frame that holds the wheel stabilizer on
the A
tire
arm?
from
the
A-arm. I think I talked about that, but I can't remember. Let's see, mine's right here.
Jerk.
Like that.
I don't know where I put it.
And
carry on.
I haven't replaced that yet. I can't decide because I believe they have aluminum arms.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I should just go back with the plastic that it is. I've thought about maybe 3D printing. Now, if I 3D print it, obviously I'm not going to get the durability. I mean, even if I do it fine, and there's lots of tricks I could do with the 3D printing that would give it the strength, but it's still not going to be the same kind of strength because molded versus printed, huge difference. The strength is I'm only going to be able to crash 1 or 2. I mean, the nice thing is I could probably print 10 of them for the same price as one, or even maybe for the same price as half of one, but I would have to always take them with me and replace them, 2 or 3 every trip, pretty much, because I do a lot of bashing.
You'd be burning through those things like nobody's business.
So,
sure.
But so that's with my truck. Need to go get that repaired. Haven't done that. Haven't done anything new on my foam board. I'm kind of wanting to do that with Derek, and we've been doing it together. I still want to keep doing that, but we've had some beautiful weather.
Yeah.
And I haven't been out flying or anything, and it kind of makes me sad. So my update is a 3D printer, and that's it. That's pretty much all I have. Life has been so busy for me.
Yeah.
Because I've got another business that I've been rolling out, and that's taken up some of my time and a lot of my money. And the kids and I started back with recording for a different YouTube thing, and so that's been not taking much time, but I'm spending time with the kids, which is great.
Yeah.
And so that's all my updates. I know it's been sad. It's not that great, but
that's all right.
Derek, how about you?
I've stayed surprisingly busy given the long break. So we'll start. I don't remember what the last thing we discussed was. Hang on. Let me see.
Oh, it's been a while. Oh, did I even
so long?
I can't remember if I talked about this because we had those Airplane 2.0 things. The motor for airplane, or a paper airplane 2.0.
Oh, the Power Up 2.0s, yeah.
Yeah. So I did get a couple of those, and I flew those for a while, but one of the clips broke, so I got to figure out how to make that work again.
You broke the
And
clip?
the clip that holds it to the airplane.
Wow.
Yeah, I am very harsh on things. That's just how I am. But that was fun. We flew that in the house, even though the house isn't the big enough. But
Meh.
it broke when I threw it in the gym at the church because it hit the ground really hard and snapped it off.
That'll do it.
Which that's too bad.
Our last
Anyway,
recording was in March. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
That was 6 months ago. 7 months ago.
7 months ago. Yeah, that's okay. So let's see here. So
what'd you do for the last 7 months?
Well, the boys and I have gotten out and done the rock crawlers quite a bit.
That's so awesome.
Let's see here. I built a couple of the flight test FT flyers. It was one of the first models that they put out plans for. It's a little diamond-shaped wing, just elevator and rudder control. Very simple. Runs on, I think, their CPAC motor.
There's my phone.
Yep, there's your phone board. Let me actually see if I can... FT... We're gonna pull this.
You can see almost all of my RC stuff sitting there. There's my DJI. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
You can see your boat, which hope you're going to talk about that.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely will. But I built basically two copies of the FT Flyer. I built one power pod and two wing and tail sections. Because that's the way it comes apart.
Yeah.
Oops, that's not
is the power pod the same as my power pod? Because that's the fuselage, right? And
it's the same idea, but it's bigger.
Oh, okay. Because the triangle form of the plane is a little bit bigger, right?
Yeah,
And sorry for those of you who are just listening to this. There's a little bit of visual because we have our cameras on so you can see us. But after you listen to us, go check us out on the YouTube so you can see the video part.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. You can see on my display on the video, you can see pictures of the FT Flyer from the browser. But yeah, diamond-shaped wing, very simple stuff. Very surprisingly easy to fly. But I made two copies of that with a 3D printed motor mount, which I don't have handily. Like I designed and 3D printed a motor mount so that it could... Well, actually, hang on. I'll grab it real quick.
Oh, awesome. Because we're professionals here and we're always prepared for everything. So, obviously we have everything at hand readily available. I was just telling everybody how prepared we are because we're so professional.
So prepared, so professional. Okay, so here's the firewall that I built or I designed.
Okay.
So it's got space for you to pass through your ESC wires. It's got a hole mounting pattern that will fit any motor that it has a 16 millimeter by 19 millimeter hole pattern. And then it's got the two holes up top for your barbecue skewers.
Right? Okay. Yeah.
And then I built it so that it would slide inside the firewall. And then you could put glue on these big flat surfaces so you have a really good solid mounting surface. So like it adheres all over the place and it holds together really well. I tried just a flat plate, like the traditional one that you can buy from Flight Test that's made out of plywood, and it didn't work. It broke to bits really quick. So I designed this, and it works absolutely amazing. This is not the one that I flew on. This is a second one. My first one still has the motor on it. But yeah, I made two of those. Took them out to a family reunion down in South Central Arizona. And flew around while my little cousins launched water balloons at it. No, not water balloons, potatoes. We had a water balloon launcher, like the rubber band launchers that you hold, and they were launching potatoes and trying to hit me out of the sky. They came close a couple times, but they did not succeed. But I was flying it. I forget I have the motor specs right here. So I was flying it on a 2213 motor with a 935 kV.
Oh, sounds like the same motor that I have for mine.
No, this is a huge motor. Your
Is
motor's
it?
a lot smaller. Yeah, trust me.
Okay. All right. You know things.
I do. And I was swinging a 10 by 4.5 prop on it. And it flew beautifully on a 3S 2200 Liperior from rcbattery.com. That sucker stayed aloft for 10 minutes easy. And it was awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
So flew that around, crashed it into a tree. I crashed it into a tree. So I swapped it out for the other set of wings and then let my brother fly it around, and he crashed it into a power pole. But we did get, like, between all that, we did get some solid landings and some really good flights. So it was a great time. And like, everyone had a blast. My granddad and my uncles had a good time watching the flights and stuff.
I mean, that's the whole thing with the foam board. The foam flyers doesn't matter that you crashed it.
Oh, yeah.
Because you just rebuild it, pull out your electronics, throw it into the new one, and you're off and running again. Like,
oh yeah,
for a couple bucks.
I'm out $2 in foam board. That's it.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
I mean, sometimes, like, if you crash it into a power pole or the big part of the tree and not the leafy part of the tree, you might lose your propeller.
Yeah,
but
I did go through 2 props.
Yeah,
due to those crashes, but still.
Yeah, still, those are a couple bucks. So
yeah. On that same trip, I took out my Rock Hobby V-tail, the motor glider that I've got.
Yeah.
And flew that around. I've got 2 good flights out of that before. I don't know what happened, but it tip stalled on me and just spiraled into the ground. And
weird.
Like, everything looked okay after I did that, so I put it back up in the air. I rebalanced it, and made sure everything was. I thought I made sure everything was okay. I put it back up in the air. And this is after I had flown it for like 10 minutes perfectly fine and had a good landing out of it.
Yeah.
Then it tip spalled on me and I crashed it. But I put it back up in the air. I'm like, you know what? If I don't take it home and I just get the electronics out of it, awesome. Otherwise, whatever. But I put it back up in the air and I immediately noticed something was wrong with the wings. And it crashed hard again. It crashed hard again.
He's getting choked up about it.
No, my mouth's dry because I can't find my water. I may have left it upstairs.
It's still a sad story.
It is still a sad story. So yeah, but I got some good flights out of that thing. It did not survive. I still have not gutted it and taken all the electronics out. That is on my list of things to do. Because it's got a good motor in ESC and it's got 6 good servos in it.
Nice. So, yeah, you can use those for a lot. I mean, 6 servos. You can do a lot with that.
Absolutely. So I did that. On that same trip, I took out my sailboat that you can see up above my head. It is the Pro Boat Westward. It's been out of production for years, but I bought it off a dude nearby for $60. And that little sucker, it's got a mainsail and a forward jib on it. About 18 inches long, stands 30-ish inches tall from bottom of the keel to the top of the mast. And I was sailing that in the lake nearby, and that thing was awesome. Did really good. My cousins had a good time watching that as well, and I let a couple of them try their hand at the controls. It's nice.
Awesome.
There's 2 controls on it. You have what would be your throttle stick for an airplane. That controls how much sail you let out.
Okay.
And then on the other stick, what would be your ailerons for an airplane is the rudder on the sailboat. So yeah, I've been sailing that around, had a great time with it. I've taken it out one other time since then. I went over to a lake nearby over at Ochre Lake.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was going really well. I was picking up lots of weeds. And then I had a dude come up to me. He's like, you can't have those here, right? I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, the sign says that you can't have RC vehicles here of any kind. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't say that, buddy. But I wrapped it up in a couple minutes, went and looked at the sign. Turns out you can't have unauthorized RC boats, planes, cars, whatever's in the area. And to get
what's an authorized?
You have to tell the Daybreak HOA that you're going to do that.
Going to be there.
You have to have their permission. But Yeah, it's not worth the hassle. So I'm
No.
probably never going back to that place. I'll find another place to sail my boats. So that's that.
Sounds good.
I have done work on my footy, on my 3D printed sailboat. I'll pull that over real quick because that is nearby. Da, 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 da. That's not where the
Yeah.
rudder goes. So
No.
this is my 3D printed footy. It is a work in progress. I need to get the control box mounted down. I need to figure out the steering system as well as putting my sail on. Where is my sail? Oh, my sail is up behind the other sailboat, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. But that's just about ready to go. That's been a fun project. And I made a little stand for it out of foam board.
Nice.
Hang on, let me get it put back. All right, so that's been going on. I took my oldest out and we flew the little FT freighter, that little gray C-17 that's just throttle and differential thrust controlled. And he flew it all by himself.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, I didn't have hands on it or anything. He did get nervous and passed the transmitter back to me after like 10 seconds. But he did great other than that. And we had some good times flying that.
That is so awesome.
Let's see here. What else have I done? Oh, you can see. So first things first, right over my shoulder, right behind me, you can see I have now a large format printer that can print on up to 36-inch wide paper and any length I want. So I can now print out plans for people as well as myself.
That is awesome.
With that, I'm working on the FT P40, the Flight Test P40 Warbird. It's a 36-inch wingspan. Looking forward to having that done. And I am offering up my services to anyone that feels the desire to print out plans for them. You can find details about it on my website, mountaingoatdesign.com. So shameless plug. Go check it out. I've already had my first order, and I have my second one is waiting for me to send out the invoice for right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then final update. One of two. I have lots of updates. I took
One of two final updates.
Exactly. If you guys remember, a couple of years ago, I bought a whole bunch of gliders off a dude locally. Some of them were good, some of them were trash. The Rock Hobby V-tail came from that lot. But my little brother came into town for a work thing, and we always like to go flying whenever he's in town. So I grabbed one of the gliders that I've been meaning to do this with, but it's a 2-meter wingspan made out of foam. The fuselage and body is a arrow shaft, and the servos are mounted on a piece of plywood at the end in front of the wing. Very simple, flies all right. But I took the APAC motor, the Flight Test APAC motor that I've had laying around. I quickly built a power pod for it, similar to what goes inside your tiny trainer, Stephen.
Okay.
And with hot glue and a zip tie and a bit of Velcro, I strapped it to the front, just in front of the servos on this glider. And then I strapped on a battery with some Velcro and took it out with my brother, and we flew it, and it flies amazing.
That is awesome.
Unlike a tiny little motor, the plane weighs nothing, so the motor like tears it out of your hand on a 6x3 prop. I flew it on a 653 S Hyperior battery, and my word, that sucker flies. And it flies so well. Like, I was having fun taking it up high and practicing getting used to flying it. My brother was having fun flying it like a foot off the ground beautifully. Like, he is a much better pilot than me. Same brother that I did the interview with forever ago. He works at the airplane company, or the aerospace company down in Georgia.
Yeah.
So yeah, did that. I'm looking forward to taking that out. I've got started a new job since the last time we met. And there is a large empty field on 3 sides of the building, like huge. And we own 15, the company owns 15 of those acres directly behind the building. So I have all the space in the world to fly. I just got to take my airplane with me, and I can fly it on my lunch.
That
So
is pretty
so I
cool.
have plans to do that. That's going to be awesome. And then my final update, if you guys remember the Willy Nilly's Gentle Lady 250,
Yeah.
it had progress made on it, and then it sat on, I put it on the shelf because I got distracted with other things, because that's what happens. But I've decided to pull it back out and get it finished up. So not last night,
Oh,
night
that
before
is looking
last,
nice.
it is. I'm really pleased with how it's going. But the other night, I started getting the rudder going on it so that it can be finished up
Controlled.
and flown.
That's going to be a beautiful plane.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that is my updates. I think I'm finally done giving my updates.
So you only did like a couple things?
Only a couple things. My voice is now very tired.
No, you're not used to talking that much. No, just kidding.
I'm not.
You had some good times though. I mean, you got out a lot in comparison
Not
though,
not
and
nearly
you've
as
done a
much as I
lot.
would have liked, but yeah, I got out a fair amount.
Well, and right now, while the weather's beautiful like it has been, this would be the perfect time to get out and fly, especially here in Utah because it's cooler. So it just and the wind's been down and the
Yeah.
weather's been perfect these the last couple weeks.
Oh yeah.
So
Little
and
cold
of
in the
course,
mornings, but once it warms up real nice.
yeah, which of course means I'm not out flying. So I keep looking. I mean, as you can see behind me, those of that watch the video, like I see the planes on a regular basis, and I think I should get out and fly,
Yeah.
and I don't.
We just need to finish that tiny trainer, and we can, because like if we can start it on the power, like no motor glider version,
Yeah,
and
so
we
I
can get it up
sort of chuck it and just steer.
exactly, and we can chuck it. We can tie a string to it so that we can like tow it up into the air like a high start sort of thing,
Oh, yeah.
and then you can just glide it down. Because I've got plenty of strings, and we can just loop a string onto the bottom, and I can run out with it, and it'll go up like a kite, and then whenever I stop, it'll come off, and you can glide it down.
That that would be so cool.
Yeah, it's a good way to practice your flying without,
Because
like, you do have to do it without a motor, which is terrifying, but
yeah, but
you learn how the plane controls, which is good.
yeah. Which like that's one thing I love my 2 meter glider,
Yeah.
powered glider. Super fun to fly. Love it. But the problem is every time I would come down, try to land it, I'd panic because it wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I'd kick on the power, go back up, and just have to keep flying. I couldn't because every time I landed, I crashed it.
Yeah.
And that's actually why I haven't flown it. I need to do some small repairs, some
Oh
glue
yeah,
on
that's
it,
right. I
because
remember that.
it's a little. It's not unrepairable. It's repairable, but
Yeah.
it's minor repairs. I just haven't done that yet. But yeah, we'll finish the tiny trainer there and get it out there and start with the no motor first. Get me used to not depending on a motor to save my butt.
It's a good plan.
And yeah, and then just get out and have fun with it. Like, yeah, that's what you and I need to do. Like we did
Yeah.
this, right? Because neither one of us had time to go to the other person's house to record. So we're doing it over Discord. But for that one, like I would love to show you guys the progress, but maybe you and I can just do a build day.
Yeah, that'd be good just to
Like,
knock it out.
yeah. And then we can take snapshots and whatnot of us doing it, and then show it on another recording.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe like you did a day of painting minis. You know,
Mm-hmm.
do the
Yeah.
same thing
Oh,
because
absolutely.
I enjoy flying. I just suck at it. And this tiny trainer would be the perfect way to really get it. Like I admit, you can't see it from here, but right here, just above me here is where my elf glider, the DLG. And I
Yeah.
look at it, I can see it on a regular basis, and man, that thing was so. Everything about that was fun to fly. Even when I had the angle of the trim wrong and everything, it was still a blast. I loved flying that glider. It was
Oh yeah.
so much fun, and I actually towards the end, because I was out flying on a regular basis, I started to get, I would say, relatively okay. Not good by any means. I mean, because I had a lot of trim issues, as some of the comments on some of my videos said. But once I figured some of that, I was able to maintain relatively good. Well, I was able to get over a minute flying time. I think my
Yeah.
longest was like a minute 30, which
It's,
is honestly, I mean, it's long, it's good, but it's, I mean, I'm just flying out here in the park over across the street from my house. So, but I loved it. I loved doing that. So
oh yeah.
get that thing finished, and then one day I'll probably finish. I'll fix that DLG one day. I love the Elf. It was such a great.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was one of my first planes, and I'm sad that it was one of my first planes.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those bittersweet things, because like it was so much fun, but I needed to learn so much, and it ended up being, well, relatively will be expensive to learn from, because the cost of it and then the cost of the repairs, and the repairs are, I'm probably going to have to buy a lot for it. The only thing that I'll be able to resave is most likely the electronics and the wing.
Yeah.
So everything else I'm probably going to have to replace, which that's fine. That's fine. It just gives me a new, if I start building like that, if I do it, big if there, but if I do repair it, then it's going to give me a lot of understanding of how to build those things, and maybe give me some more love of it, because I don't know, I loved flying them anyway. So
Yeah. No,
yeah,
for sure. I definitely miss being able to fly my mini DLG, the one that was the same size as your Elf.
yeah.
It still sits up there. The wing needs to be patched, and I need to. I stole the servos out of it, so I need to figure out. Well, I also need to
Oh,
fix the power pod. It's a whole mess. It's low down on the priority list. I've got so many other
well,
things.
as we can see, there you have a lot more. Like mine, I have one, and I have the slow stick, and I have the Radeon 2 meter,
Yeah.
and then I have some drones right there, and my DJI stuff. And did I tell you my brother-in-law? I think I mentioned this. My brother-in-law gave me a stunt flyer. I can't remember
Mm.
the name of it.
Yep.
So
I remember that.
that's the controller for it, and then that is got all the batteries and electronics for it. That one needs repairs.
Yeah.
Also, need to do quite a bit of repairs on that. The wing's damaged, so nothing that can't be repaired,
It's just a
as far as
matter
I
of
can tell.
taking the time
Doing
to do
it.
it. Yeah. No, for sure. That's the same way it is with me, because I've got a notes list on my phone. Every one of those is a RC project. Oops. Some of them are higher on the list than others. So, but it's giving me a way to kind of visualize and keep track of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, because like I've got my Spirit up here, my Great Plains Spirit,
Yeah.
and I want to build the power pod up for that so I can take it, fly it anywhere without a high
Yeah.
start. I've got the Gentle Lady that I'm finishing up, the P40 that I'm building. I want to finish my Footy sailboat. There's a dude on the flight test forums called Bushhawk. He goes by Bushhawk RC. I'm part of his Discord server. But with that, he's got a bunch of foam board plans that need to be tested and beta tested, and he sent me the plans for one of them to beta test, and it's for
Cool.
I think it's a 40-inch bush plane or 50-inch bush plane.
That's
So
cool.
just a high wing trainer, but he asked me to build that, and I'll eventually get to that. And then a whole bunch of other things. I've got my big yellow and red and black plane that sits back here, the gas one.
Yeah.
Its name is Patches, if you've seen the video on my YouTube channel. But I want to convert that to electric so that I can actually fly it regularly. I've got the red and cream one that's directly above me, the Stinson Voyager, that I want to actually I need to evaluate the servos on it because it was giving me fits. I think the servos were drawing too much current and it was like shutting down the whole system. So I need to look into that, possibly change out the ESC, definitely change out at least two of the servos. but I want to get that flying. And then you can't see it, but the extra 330 SC from Great Plains, it's a indoor 3D flyer. I want to learn how to fly 3D, and I actually found a flight simulator that has training for flying 3D. It's called
3-5. What is that? I don't
um,
even know what 3D flying is. I
hang
mean,
on.
isn't all flying 3D because like you're flying? I mean, so explain it to me.
Explain. So flying 3D, let me
Is that like
hang on, YouTube's
where
loud.
you're what?
I said hang on, YouTube's loud. Sorry everyone
Oh,
that just got blasted. Steven
is
missed
it?
it.
Yeah, I didn't get to hear it. Is it where you're wearing goggles? Is it like FPV flying?
No, it's not like FPV flying. It's where you're basically flying the plane at the point almost at the point of stalling. So like you're hanging it by the prop, you're doing like I just shared my screen with you.
Yeah.
But if you look, so this dude's flying 3D.
So that's the type of plane I have. Hold on a second.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, you have this type of plane. So for those of you still with me, Steven stepped away for a second. This is 3D flying. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. Whether or not you are proficient in flying in 3D is a different thing, because this takes a lot of skill and a lot of practice. So yeah, that is 3D flying. Let's get Steven back up here because he is bringing back. All right, Steven's got his plane. Welcome back.
Yeah, I wandered away.
Yes, you did. So Steven, show us that plane you got there. Yeah, so that is. You're gonna chop a cord there.
Yeah, my wired.
The Typhoon 2 3D. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a 3D plane. That's how it flies, just like that video that I was showing you. So I have a plane like my SCX 330 SC. SCX no, Extra 330 SC is a plane that does that, and I want to learn how to fly it like that so that I can be cool and fly 3D. And I figure if I can learn to fly 3D, you muted yourself. Oh, I didn't.
Am I muted now? I don't know.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
But I want to learn to fly 3D, and I found a simulator called FS1 2022. Used to be a paid simulator, but the dude just made it free for anyone to download. Easily compatible with any radio type that you can plug into your computer. So I've been setting that up with my X20, my Tandem X20. And I plan to go through the tutorials to teach me how to fly 3D.
You know, I would love to learn how to, because that is pretty cool to fly.
Yeah.
I just don't do very many tutorials. I just get out and fly it. What was that called?
FS1. I'll try and put a link to it in the description for the podcast and the YouTube video. So it'll be places. That way, anyone that's listening, if you guys want to go look it up, you can. And then cool. I'll also include the link to the RC Group's channel where everyone's been talking about it, and the creator's been sharing where you can kind of talk to the guy that developed it and help him, ask him with questions and stuff like that. But it's got a wide selection of planes, a bunch of training options, and a bunch of stuff like that. So should be really good. I haven't gotten into it too far yet. But yeah.
That's very cool.
So yeah, I have lots of hopes and dreams and lots of planes and stuff and other things and stuff. So yeah, and
stuff.
Yeah, like I have like at this point I'm not allowing myself to get any more planes because I already have so many. I need to get all of them either working and flyable, and then keep them as a flyable plane, or they need to be flown and crashed and dismantled.
Fair. I mean, that is fair. The nice thing is if you do have a lot of planes, then you potentially could take a lot of people out and show them how to fly.
Yeah, it's true.
And unless everybody has to use the same controller.
I do. So Free Sky, let me
Because
pull
I
up.
know flying, what is it called? Not it's tandem, where you
Buddy
have a
Box.
buddy box. Because Free Sky has it, so you can set that up.
Yeah, so Free Sky has it so you can do it wirelessly, and I should be able to, even though I have the X20, I should still be able to wirelessly buddy box with your QX7. We'll have to play with that and figure that out.
Yeah.
But since we last spoke, Free Sky has come out with their Tandem X18. Let me share this with you real quick. Go ahead. You should be able to see my screen.
Yeah.
So the X20 is what I have. And there's also the X20S, which is just a upgraded hardware version of it. But there's also, they came out with the X18 and X18S. Basically the same radio, smaller screen and smaller form factor, and a couple other minor modifications, but otherwise basically the same number of switches, dials, doodads, what have you. They've also released, let's see if they have a display of it up. Hang on. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. Okay. Sorry, we're looking through their website if you couldn't figure it out. Okay. They came out with the Twin X Lite, which if you're familiar with Free Sky, you're familiar with their X Lite transmitters. It looks like a little Xbox controller. This is the new version, which runs Ethos, their proprietary software. It's got a little slide out screen with a bunch of buttons underneath for activating things. And it has minimal switches. So this is designed for your DLG pilots or your quad racers, where you don't need a whole bunch of switches for controlling all the things. You just need a minimalistic controller. So they came out with that, which is pretty slick. I want to get this isn't anytime soon, but one day I want to get an X18 or a Twin X Lite so that I can buddy box to it, and that'll be the radio my kids use.
So you can just flip a switch, take control back, and It's already, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So they've done that. They've also come out, Free Sky's released their Tandem XE, which is their replacement for their X9 tray radio. So this is designed to be flown. I don't know. I doubt you're familiar with tray radios, Stephen.
Not.
But I'm sure some of our listeners have seen them, where they're just big, flat console-looking radios with handrests on the side and a big harness for holding it in front of you. These are the kind that the really good or really professional flyers will usually fly with, because there's a bunch of easily accessible switches all on the top of the console and all that sort of stuff. So that's what this is. It's never really interested me, but it's kind of cool to see. It's got all the switches and buttons and pots and stuff. Let's see here. Have they put out anything else recently? Oh, they're finally getting out their tandem receivers. So they have an actual selection. There's the R6. So the tandem receivers, the whole point of the Ethos system and the tandem radios is that you can run 900 megahertz and 2.4 gigahertz on the same system, and it'll switch between the two depending on what it needs.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So they've been putting out the receivers for that, and looks like they just recently put out the R6, which is the 6-channel version. But there's the TD R6, R10, MX. The MX is the kind that you'd put into a quadcopter.
Okay.
And the R18. The R18 has 18 PWM outputs.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's a tank. Absolute tank.
Dang, that's like your big beastie guy that has extra features, landing gear, everything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this
turrets.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, they've been working hard at that.
That's awesome.
I just recently updated my X20 to the latest version of Ethos, which is, let's see here. I did it the other night. You'd think I'd know.
I'm going to have to get on and see if I need to update, if mine has an update, and if I want to update it.
Yeah, probably. But I updated mine so that it'll work with the Ethos suite, so I can now update it straight from my computer without having to like do a bunch
Do
of
all that.
weird copy paste magic.
Yeah.
So I think it's Ethos 1.3.3 is the latest one that I just updated to. So I'm excited for that. Gives me access. They now have a multi-protocol module built in to the X20 firmware and components and stuff. So like it'll run Crossfire. This won't make sense to you, Stephen, but our listeners will understand. It'll run Crossfire, it'll run ELRS, and it'll run 2 or 3 other communication protocols for radios.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, so I'm not just limited to FreeSky, ACCST, and Access and Tandem now.
That's really cool then.
A lot of people have been asking for it, and it's been in the works for months now, and people are really excited that it's come out. So I don't know if I'll much ever use any of that.
But having the ability to is pretty nice.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing is like a lot of the little like tiny whoops and pre-built quads that you get, they're not always compatible with Access or ACCST V2. They have their own little proprietary ones, and this multi-protocol module that the Tandem radios now run should be able, from what I understand, if I read correctly, it should be able to talk to those now. So that's pretty sweet.
Cool.
You'll have to, for our listeners, you'll have to go and look into the details of that yourself. Don't quote me on anything. I don't know for sure 100%, but yeah.
Also, FreeSky is not sponsoring this, but they're welcome to if they want to.
Oh yeah, no, FreeSky, if you're listening and you want to sponsor us, we'd love it. We love your stuff. Hit us up.
Yeah, we would not say no.
We wouldn't say no to just about any sponsor, but that's beside the point.
That is beside the point.
FreeSky is on the short list.
Yes. So anyway, that's it. I was trying to move us on, and I didn't have a good transition.
That had the potential to be a good transition. You just didn't take it anywhere.
I just grabbed it and just set it down. I dropped it on the floor and walked away.
Yep.
Yep. So I mean, what I'm trying to get out of my brain right now is like every time Derek has been back and forth, and we've been trying to figure out a time when we could sit down and do this. I love doing this. I love getting out and flying.
Oh, absolutely.
But things are so busy, and all it is, and that's just an excuse, and it's my excuse, because if it was super important, I would find a way to get out and fly, and that's true. And we do. I mean, it happens every once in a while, but like when we sit down and talk about it, I'm like, gosh, I gotta put my plane back together. I want to get out and fly. I want to take my car out. Like, we've got a trip coming up. My family and I were going down to Moab. A lot of people have heard of Moab in Utah. It's in southern Utah.
Ooh, fun.
And yeah, so that's in a couple weeks.
I need your truck ready for that.
I would need to get my truck ready. You're right. I'm also going to take my DJI drone out. Now, granted, since 90% of Moab and all the surrounding areas are federal national parks, which means I can't fly in them.
Yeah.
I will find places where I can fly, or see about getting permission, just because there's so much to look at, and it would be really fun. But either way, if I can get my car ready, and I'll take it down, take everything down, and hopefully I'll have some videos. I don't know if I will. But whenever we do these, I get excited to go out and do it, and then life happens, and we sometimes get a chance to work on things, but not always.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, so yeah, love it.
Should we have some fun and look at some of the latest news from rcgroups.com?
I'm sure. What's going on? What do we got on the calendar coming up?
So let me share my screen with you real quick. Wait. Okay, so on rcgroups.com they have a There's their magazine that you can click on and go, and you can see a whole bunch of their latest articles. But we're gonna have fun, and they posted this morning, the RC news of the week. Just gonna share. We're gonna go through and see what sort of fun stuff. So, the Flight Test Freedom Fox. So Flight Test has been working with Trent Palmer, for those of you who know who both of those are, on building a scale version of Trent's Freedom Fox. It's a kit Fox, bush plane, high wing, all that sort of stuff, big monster tires. But Flight Test has been developing their second version of it, which is supposed to be more scale and stuff, flying wise. And they had fun doing a whole bunch of videos with Trent, a bunch of competition flying and stuff. But this airplane, it's wingspan of 1.25 meters. I don't know what that is in inches. I'm sorry.
1.25 meters.
Yeah, so it's 40-ish inches on the
40
wingspan.
inches, yeah.
Yeah. Runs on a 2814 1100 kV motor with a 40 amp ESC, spinning a 11x7 prop. That's a hefty prop
That's a big prop
with a sharp pitch for sure.
Yeah.
Flying weight is 1.2 kilograms. So it's like 3.5 pounds, 3.5 pounds. So let's see here.
It's a little over 3.5 pounds.
But yeah, the video is really fun to watch. I encourage you to go to Flight Test channel and check out the video of them flying with Trent. Also in their news, a bunch of other things. Some planes have come out. But the one that I want to show you, Stephen, we're going to go through this, but they have every Wednesday, they have what they call What the Heck Wednesday, where they show a video of an airplane crash, an RC airplane crash. And they just spark the discussion of what do you think went wrong. So this is a 1.5 meter Cirrus SR-22T that we're going to watch the flight and crash real quick because it's quick. I've seen it before. And we're going to see if we can discuss what's wrong. So
all right.
For those watching, tune in with us. For those listening, you'll just have to I'll put links to this in our descriptions, and you can go check it out for yourself. Comment your opinions. So here we go. Plane is taken off. After takeoff, it starts banking left. These are comments put in by the video. Gives it full right aileron. You can see this thing banking hard, like it is.
Yeah, it's
pointed
not
straight at
necessarily.
The ground. Keeps banking hard.
Oh, there it is, hitting the ground. Yep. Ouch.
Left wingtip catches the ground, and it just cartwheels hard.
Oh, there goes the motor. The front end is destroyed. There goes the rest of the front end. Is that I think that's the battery. Battery and propeller driver. Oh my gosh. And the cockpit's gone. I'm surprised that wing didn't come off.
The motor came off, the cabin came out, and the cowling came off. It cartwheeled hard.
Oh yeah, it did. Wow, that's
is there
so
a
very
full
sad.
Speed version? Oh, there's the real time version.
There it is. But it did land.
It landed on its wheels,
it landed wheels down. That's a success, right?
Yeah. So here it is, real time again, up in the air, immediately goes left and just goes hard. All right.
So now we want to talk about what we think caused it.
Yeah. So let's.
So it looked like, to me, again, I don't know anything, but I've seen that in my own plane, and it's usually when one of my ailerons is not right. Like it's twisted to that hard turn when it's not supposed to, or you've got your trim on that controller all the way one way or the other, or it's your servo is had one where the servo was moving on its own. So I've seen all three of those, but I don't know if, that's what it looks like to me is one of those, the control rod, it's like stuck down or something. But
it makes sense. My initial thought is that the controls were reversed, like you were saying, so that when you tried to go right, it
Oh,
actually ends up going left.
yeah.
But so in the comment section below the original post, people discuss all the things that they think could be wrong. A lot of them say that there was too early of a takeoff. So you didn't have enough airspeed
Okay. Before you
got off the
pulled.
ground. So you
Yeah.
had enough to get off the ground, but not enough to fly, just enough to stall, which is why he got up and immediately banked over, which could be a trim issue, like he wasn't trimmed
Yeah.
out properly. And because he wasn't going fast enough, he had no control authority to be able to bring
Yeah.
it back. And one thing that I've heard about, but I sadly don't know enough about to really give you a good answer. But when you are in a turn and like when you're banking and your wing stalls on you, like there's not proper airflow over the wing to actually make it work like a wing, the
Yeah.
more you turn or try to correct it by going the other way, the worse you end up going the way you don't want to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Because it stalls out. It stalls out harder.
yeah. So if I turn, if I bank to the left, my right aileron is down. And if I want to come out of that, I switch it so my left aileron is down. But if I don't have, if my left wing, if my wings have stalled out, I'm not sure which one would, but if my wings have stalled out, all that will do is basically cause my left wing to act as an air brake because the aileron is down.
Yeah.
And it'll just
Yep.
drag me into that stall,
Yeah.
it'll drag me more into that bank. And
So
honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that is what happened.
the other thing that I was having, I totally can believe that. But the other thing I was thinking is takeoff into the wind. There was a cross brace,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
just blew it right, like took off, and he was trying to come out of it, and the wind just blew it in. I mean,
That's
couldn't
absolutely
tell.
possible.
There was
Yeah.
no flags to tell how the wind was blowing because,
Yeah.
but that's another one. I like the stall out idea because your wind speed, that your wind speed, if as you turn, the inside wing is actually traveling at a slower speed.
Mhm.
And like you said, if that's not like if his overall speed wasn't fast enough when that slowed down, turn on the brakes, just
Yeah.
like you said. I could totally see that, or a combination of a little bit of everything.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Chances are, it was a little bit of everything. Like I'm sure there was a little bit of trim problem that could have been the controls were reversed. Had that happen, could have been wind, a little bit of wind, slow winds. Like that's the thing is it probably wasn't one thing. I don't know. Do they say? Because I haven't read any of the comments.
No.
They just post it and say what went wrong.
Yeah, they post them up and they say, "What are your thoughts?" And people just discuss it because, like, the person that posts the video
probably doesn't even know.
They probably don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sure they didn't. Like, I can go to the actual YouTube video and see.
What?
Hang on just a sec. We're gonna see if the dude comments. So the guy that did this video and crashed the plane. After takeoff, still not sure why it happened. Probably had a bad servo. Hopefully, it can be repaired to fly another day. Yep. So yeah, he's not even sure.
He's pulling the bad servo, which, I mean, it's totally possible. It was one of the thoughts that I had. So, like I said, I'm betting it was a little bit of everything.
Absolutely.
Bad servo, not responding correctly, low airspeed, a little bit of extra wind, and all of a sudden you turn into that, which is a horrible crash. Like, I've cartwheeled, and I still haven't had a crash like that before. Like,
that plane, like, that plane's a little bit of a heavier plane for being a foam kit or being a foam construction. And yeah, when those sorts of planes hit the ground, they're solid feeling, but not. It's still foam, so you hit the ground and it's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
So whereas like your Radian, that tries to cartwheel across the ground and its mass is distributed well enough.
Yeah.
That it hits surprisingly soft.
Yeah, and it almost is flying still while cartwheeling instead of like it's super super soft. Like you like that thing just is really really light in comparison to the size of it.
Yeah.
And so when like every time I cartwheeled it, it was just like slow motion, and it would usually come down soft afterwards too.
Well, and it's built so long, and the way it's built, it's very springy.
Yeah.
Like it can take some flex and some bend and give it right back without issue. Whereas the plane that this guy crashed, that Cirrus, it doesn't have that space to be able to do that. So it takes a hit and
flexibility.
It's jolting. So
yeah.
Well,
but any plane,
oh yeah,
crashed enough will eventually take some repair.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah.
Anyway.
All right, that's all I've got for tonight. We've hit our hour mark. I say we give these people's ear a break, and we'll check back with them in a little bit.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you everybody for continuing to keep us moving and show us that your support. We appreciate that greatly. I mean, it tells us that you guys like what we're doing here, and we like that you like this.
Yeah, we're just spouting nonsense, and for some reason you guys are listening.
Super fun. We love it. Derek and I, we work really well together. We have a great relationship, and so continue to give us your comments, give us some ideas, throw things at us, and yeah, we're down. We're gonna do things. So again, we have no set schedule for releasing these things. It's going to be just in the future. We'll do it again. Promise. We will do another one. But
we'll do it sooner than 7 months.
Hopefully. And now that the build season is among us, like this, we're coming down to the build season, right? We've got, I don't know, here in Utah, we might get another 2 or 3 good weeks, depending on the weather, but
dude, it's going to be a hot, dry winter again. I'm very frustrated.
I mean, we might even get to fly all winter. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a possibility. The last couple years we have been able to, but actually, I don't know. He says it's going to be hot and dry. The signs I've seen say otherwise, but we'll see. We have no idea. But if it is a hot, dry winter, that means we have the possibility of getting out more, which means we have to finish a plane for me, and I have to repair my RC truck.
Yep.
So, but anyway, thank you again for joining us. Give us all the thumbs up, likes, and all that fun stuff. And Derek.
Remember, when flying inverted, up is down and down is expensive. Torque is how hard you can hit the ground, and RPM is how far you have to dig to get yourself back out.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.